Showdowns everywhere. As the battle for region titles heat up, it comes with some big time matchups that could rewrite the PBR Georgia Power 25. I'm Cory McCartney, along with PBR Georgia Scouting Director Phil Kerber, as we dive into the Power 25 and the Class 7A through 1A polls. Phil, how are you? And I know this is a week that you have been especially hyped for.
I'm doing great. I mean, it's an exciting Monday, and I'm sure it's just going to keep picking up as the week progresses.
Yeah, on the topic of showdowns, I mean, 5 are involving top 10 teams this week. Obviously, it gets no bigger in Georgia than number 1 Buford against number 3 Winder-Barrow. And Phil, you had a front row seat for the opener of their 3-game clash.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't the only one in attendance. I can tell you that there was a large crowd of pro scouts, just people from the community. I know there were even teams from neighboring schools that had come to watch the game because it was quite a spectacle. You've got the number 1 versus number 3 team, and it's setting up Dylan Lesko versus Brady House. I mean, this series is basically for the region championship. Both teams entered it undefeated. And when it comes to the larger picture, Buford got the better of Winder-Barrow on the day, beating them 8-4. It was a game where we talked, could Winder-Barrow score runs? And they got to Lesko in 1 inning. It was the 4th inning where they were able to put up 4 runs, but that's all they could get across. And that Buford offense is just so explosive up and down that they weren't able to keep them in control from 1 through 9. So, Buford they had a fight for it, but they took game 1 in impressive fashion. And I'm sure game 2 and game 3 are going to be just as exciting.
Yeah, you mentioned it there. Dylan Lesko against Brady House, obviously the number 1 player in the class of 2021 against the number 1 player in the class of 2022. How exciting was it watching the two of these kind of battle with one another?
It was awesome. You're looking at, House and a potential first rounder this year, and Lesko, who, might be a potential top 10, top 5 pick next year. I mean, just seeing those two talents go at it. And Buford might have won the war, so to say, but I think it's safe to say that House kind of won the battle between Lesko and him. House went 3 for 3 against him. The first AB, House is their leadoff man, so it was right from the get-go. You got those two going at it, and Lesko fell behind, went 2-0, then battled back to a 3-2 count and tried to get a changeup by House. And that changeup, we all know is just an elite pitch that he's got. Well, House just chops it through the middle for a single. Following second AB, it was House again. This time, didn't waste any time, getting on a pitch. The first AB, it looked like he wanted to see all of what Lesko has to offer. He saw it. So that second AB, Lesko tries to go fastball inside. House chops one down the third base line. It was a hard hit ball. Brant Balcom at third base tried to make a diving play, but it tipped off his glove. And credit to how hard it was hit. The ball went all the way to the fence down third base line, and that's there's a lot of room there. So House trotted into second. And the third AB was probably his best at AB. Lesko tried to start him off this time with a breaking ball. House is on it and smoked one down the third base line all the way to the left field fence. And there were 2 men on, I believe. So picked up a 2-run double, and that's what ignited that rally kind of in the 4th inning for them. Got them going, and the House eventually came around to score, and that they cut the lead to 5-4 then. I haven't even mentioned that Lesko was also up to 98. So, yeah, he was 93, 98. So, I mean, once he got kind of past House and the Lewis brothers, it was a little easier for him to work through that part of the lineup. But that top of the order gave him some trouble.
Well, Lesko and House, I mean, if both of them deny the MLB draft, it could be the beginning of something there, obviously, with them at Tennessee and Vanderbilt. It could be something to watch in SEC games in the future. Meanwhile, number 4 Grayson took the first of 3 against number 18 Brookwood. Number 7 Allatoona beat number 8 Pope. And 2 red-hot teams, number 5 Loganville, number 10 Greenbrier, have big matchups of their own. Loganville takes on Walnut Grove, Greenbrier facing Appalachia. Phil, some clarity with Allatoona winning again. Loganville and Greenbrier are trying to keep pace with one another. Who among that group do you feel like this week has the biggest significance for?
Oh, man, that's tough. I think it's like a tie between that Loganville and Greenbrier because they are deadlocked at the top of that region. They split their season series. Each game went 2-1. So it's kind of looking like you can't lose any more games between the two of them. And looking at those 2 matchups, Appalachia probably going to come out with Manning West, who, I mean, we all know the monster is 6'6", 230 pounds, can run it up into the low 90s. If he's on, I mean, he can shut down. I I would say he could shut down any team in the state when he's on. And then One Oak Grove's been really hot in region. Their only losses are to Greenbrier. So they're right there too. I mean, if they can knock off Loganville, who knows? They could sneak in that region too. So I mean, that region's still wide open, and those two matchups are real interesting.
Obviously, as we talked about, showdowns are everywhere. I mean, they're obviously large in what's going to be the Power 25. But when you consider that those rankings, the Class 7A through 1A polls, and even teams that have been on the rise in the Power 25s as outside looking in, I'm asking you to take kind of that 10,000 foot view here and give us a team or two that you think we should keep an eye on over the closing weeks of the season.
I would say to keep an eye on 5A in Cartersville and Wayne County. Wayne County was a team that was ranked early on in the season. They stumbled a bit, and it just, every week I look at them and I'm like, they're on the cusp. They're almost there into the Power 25. They're picking up some good wins. If they just keep it rolling, they'll be there. And then Cartersville, we got to look at this past weekend at the Battle for Bartow, and they've been reeling off some impressive victories as well. And that's a scrappy team watching them. They've got they got their big arm and Micah Earwood who can keep them in any game. And then the batting lineup is just a scrappy team, guys that are going to battle at the plate. They're going to put the ball in play. They're going to play good baseball, a fundamentally sound team. So, any team that's playing like that, they're going to be in any game. So those are two teams keep an eye on. They might crack the Power 25 in the next week, but even if they don't, they're definitely going to be a team to watch in the playoffs.
Well, certainly shaping up to be an exciting finish to the regular season. He is Phil Kerber on Twitter at Phil Kerber PBR. Be sure to follow PBR Georgia while you're at it. Phil, thanks as always.
Thanks for having me.